Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Manifesting Me show. Since May the 4th is coming up, Friday, I believe, is that right? If that works out. No, it's not. Saturday. Anyway, May the 4th, Star Wars Day, is coming up soon. And so I thought I would share a take on that I've talked about before, and I have a blog post on that. But if you're going to go look for that in real time, my website's being updated, so it's not actually available right now, but it will be soon. And so if you're watching this in the future, it should not be a problem. And so I don't know how long ago I had this idea or this thought of how Star Wars is a great analogy for personal development. And so I went with it. It was fun. And when I speak of Star Wars, I know that it's very big and very encompassing as a brand, or as, what am I talking about specifically? I am referring to, or my take on this, my perspective on this is how R2-D2 and C-3PO, those two characters, are basically two sides of the personal development coin. So that is what I'm going to be talking about today, my take on that. And maybe it will give you a new perspective. Maybe you agree with me. Maybe you have different takes, different characters, but I think it's fun. And so one of the things that I'm doing more of is just following the fun and incorporating more fun on purpose. And that has been something that's come up through, I learned through at my trip that I went on, and just through life, and just like all the signs and things like that. Just follow the fun, incorporate more fun, and find the fun or create fun in the moment, in the day-to-day mundane things, if you will. So I do have my notes. Most of them I think I can see pretty well on my screen. Some of the type is a bit small, so you will see me put my glasses on if you're watching the video. If you're listening, no worries at all. You won't notice a thing. So I'm going to talk today about my take on Star Wars and how it relates to personal development. So if you've never thought about that, let me know your thoughts as we go along or at the end. And so the way I look at it is C-3PO, the gold droid, right? And I'm making these references for people that may not be Star Wars geeks or so, super into Star Wars, because I know that not everyone is. But C-3PO is the human form, like the humanoid droid that is gold, I guess gold in color. And then R2-D2, which is the little shorter blue, white, silver droid that rolls around and speaks in chirps and whistles, I guess. So I see C-3PO as the Worry Wart, the nervous Nellie, the one who, whose default is, I can't do that, or that's not possible. And R2-D2, how did I write this? R2-D2, I like alliteration. So for C-3PO, I said Worry Wart, so with the W, and nervous Nellie, the N alliteration, what that is. So for R2-D2, I came up with positive. He's like the positive Pete of the group, or the optimistic Oswald. And it took me a while to come up with an O name to go with that. And he is the one, he's the side of the coin that says, yes, I can. Yes, it's possible, or there is a way. So two different sides of the same coin. And that is the case with most things in life. There is the positive or negative, if that's how you look at it, or positive or challenging, dark and light. There is this duality. And so that's what I happen to, I guess, land on with Star Wars and personal development. And basically, I want to be like R2-D2. I have made posts in the past, and saying like R2-D2 is one of my spirit animals. I want to be like him. embody that way of looking at things. Even though they're droids, they have these personalities, and maybe they were programmed. I am not the techie mechanical person, so I don't know how all that goes in, but they have their distinct personalities, their distinct attitudes and ways of coming across, right? So I want to be like R2-D2. That is my my little spirit droid animal, if you will. And so I thought it would be good. I created a list a while back when I had this thought process originally, and I created a list of why I want to be like R2-D2 and pointing out these traits or these characteristics that I want to embody and that I really want to incorporate more consistently in my life and make it a point to get back to that or keep that as the goal when I catch myself falling away from that or falling into old thought patterns or the negative Nellies or the Worry Wart side of things, because we all have those, right? And it's not that I think about, it's like not negating C-3PO or saying, oh, just like push it down. We have that. And so knowing that yes, there's two sides of the coin, I catch myself on this negative Nellie side, and I really want to intentionally get back to the positive Pete or the optimistic Oswald R2-D2 side. So first of all, and I have like the core three, because I did this in, like I said, a blog post, but it's my website is being fixed, or not fixed, but updated. And so it's not public right now. So I have the core three, and then I'll read through the rest of the list so that, chat about that, or just kind of list them for you so that you know what they are. And maybe you can take those on as well, or kind of incorporate those in your way of looking at life and making it your thing to get back to. So first of all, R2-D2 is brave. That little dude is brave. He doesn't have the fear button, or better said, he does it anyway. Like his little chirps or noises maybe make it, make us think he is scared, or there are scary moments, or he is worried. But the thing is, he does it anyway. He does it scared. And we've all heard, something along those lines, or like, do it scared, or, let the fear lead you, or lean into the fear. And that is something that I think he embodies very well. He does it anyway. He doesn't know what's going to happen. He doesn't know, but he goes. And not in, one of the things that you pointed out, he doesn't do it in like the showy hero Han Solo kind of way, right? Like, here I am to save the day. He's not doing it that way. He is not the hero in the crisis, but he is like that, just going on in the background sometimes, just going on anyway. How did I write this here? More of like the everyday brave, right? Not the big, like Luke Skywalker swinging Princess Leia across the chasm there with the rope, or the whatever he swung across with. Not in those big showy ways, but in like the everyday occurrences, like the things that come up. He's on his mission, or he has a task that he has either been asked to do or that he is working towards. And it's just like those everyday brave moments, like, oh man, this sucks, or this feels really scary, and I'm going to simply keep going and do it anyway. So not in the showy way. And so he just starts. And that's one of those things that I have realized is a trait that I have. And sometimes it works to my benefit and sometimes it doesn't. And I have been working on starting things with intention and not, even though I may not know all the steps, being a bit more discerning. And so he just starts the mission. He starts to go and deliver what he needs to, or get to whoever he needs to, or do what the thing is. He just starts. He doesn't know all the steps. He doesn't know how long it's going to take sometimes, or even where the person is. He's just starting off to go look for, Leia or whoever he needs to deliver the thing to. And so just starting, taking that step, taking the scary step, and he figures things out in the moment too, right? Without overthinking them. And I think that's where, myself included, where we get stuck in this overthinking. It's like, oh, I have this idea, I have this desire, I have this mission, or, this wish and dream, but I'm going to overthink it or get caught up in the thinking. And of course, we're not, intentionally overthinking, but we do get caught up in that. And I can definitely raise my hand in like wanting to know all the steps first or plan it all the way out so that I know what to expect. And what I have found is when I get started and I focus more on figuring things out along the way and identifying the challenges and having steps, having things in my toolbox that I can use or that I have used in the past, and also my thinking and figuring out and logic process along the way, instead of trying to think it and dream up or come up with all the possible hurdles ahead of time, I have found that makes it much harder on myself because I'm creating problems that might not even exist. So being prepared doesn't have to mean you know all the things, but knowing that you are a figure outer. I am a figure outer. We can get help along the way. We can, depending on the circumstance, then identify or determine our next step. So he doesn't get caught up in the planning or whatever the circumstances are or might be deter him. So just getting started. That's the first of my key traits that I love about R2-D2. And secondly, again, not in a showy way, but he doesn't back down. He doesn't back down. And even when the odds or circumstances are stacked against him, he keeps going. He doesn't listen to C-3PO and his worrying and his saying, oh, no, that's not possible, or it's not safe to go right now, or we need more information, or whatever the heck, bless C-3PO. But whatever that is, he doesn't listen to that. And attaching or kind of connecting to the first one, he does it scared anyway, or he does it with those little fear chirps and whistles that let us know he is feeling that, or aware of that. And he just, even if it seems impossible, others might say it's impossible, but he's like, I don't know, I'm just going to go until I can't, or I'm just going to go and see what happens, and never lets them talk him out of doing what he wants. And I think, one of the reasons I include that, it's one of my main three, because I have also, just looking back at my history and my experiences, and maybe you can relate to this as well, is like sharing ideas or telling people what we're going to do and them saying, oh, that's not possible. Doesn't that sound really hard? Or now's not the right time, right? So how, can you relate to that? Or other people's doubts, other people's lack thinking, other people's worries bring you down. And he's aware of them, but he does it anyway. So he's brave in an everyday kind of way, just getting started. And he doesn't back down, even when things get hard, or when other people don't believe in his mission, or don't believe that what he is doing is possible, or that it's the right time to go, do that. And included in that, in the not backing down, is when he gets knocked down, we see him get tipped over, we see him get shot at, and we see him, all these things that happen to him. He gets back up. He gets back up, or somehow he gets going. And if he gets derailed for a moment, like if he gets taken to another place, or he gets not kidnapped, but he's in the, with the, oh Lord, that place where Han Solo got like frozen in the gold molten thing, and him and C-3PO got dismantled there, and R2-D2 was also, I think he was shot at or whatever. So he has these moments where he's derailed, but as soon as he can, as soon as it is possible for him to move forward, or he finds a way to get out or through, he gets back on track. And we all have those. Anytime we have a dream, or anytime we have a task that we're working towards, or an ambition that is big, and sometimes even the small ones, we get derailed. Life happens. Circumstances happen. We try something and it doesn't work. Or we try something and we fall, or we fail, perceived fail. He experiences those things too. And he gets back on track as soon as he can, or as soon as he's rebuilt, or as soon as he's recharged, or whatever the case is, he gets back to it. So that is part of that not being derailed, that life sometimes derails us. But his attitude, his perspective is that he's getting back to it as soon as he can, or as soon as the opportunity presents itself. And that goes to like having a goal or a mission for the movie's sake, and for us having a dream or having a desire and going for it. What did I write here? He doesn't worry about how it will get done. And that ties into that overthinking that I talked about the earlier in this, not getting caught up in the how. He just starts out across the desert. Does he know what he's going to face? No. He just starts out because he knows what he's going towards, or he's trying to find a way to get there. And so that, I think, is an important aspect to point out of not backing down doesn't mean that we don't get derailed. It's included in that getting back up and getting to it. And then as a bonus, which was not in my big, my main three, but as a bonus, is he's always up for fun. He's always up for fun and, dancing with the Ewoks or whatever it is and celebrating. He is always up for the fun as well. So he does not get deterred, and he has a mission, but he's also there and ready for the fun. So those are my big three, my core three that I wanted to talk on. And so now I'll just read real quick my list, the list that I have in its entirety, and then I'll move on to C-3PO, because I'm not ignoring him, but I did want to start with why I think R2-D2 is my little droid, one of my spirit animals. So my list in its entirety, I'll just read it down, read through it, all of it. So I don't have to weed out the ones I just talked about. So he is brave, and I'll read it like I wrote it, so that he is brave, not ever letting the circumstances deter him from his goal or mission. He just starts and gets going. No overthinking, wondering, or planning. He never backs down, even when the odds are stacked against him. He doesn't listen when others say something is impossible, and never lets them talk him out of doing what he wants, especially C-3PO. So apparently, as I'm reading this, I combined some of these other ones into like one of my big three, but that's okay. If he falls or gets knocked down, he gets back up. Oops, lost my place. He gets back up. Why won't this move for me now? There we go. And keeps going. If he finds a roadblock, he finds a way around it. Anytime he gets delayed or derailed, he gets back on task as soon as he can, or the opportunity presents itself. When he has a goal or a mission, he just goes and does not worry about how it will get done. He just gets going. And I put in here, he's a pretty stubborn little dude. And that part I can relate to, the being stubborn. And this one I did not include in my big three. His loyalty is unfaltering, unwavering. The people and C-3PO, he's not a person, but his circle, his people, his community that he is loyal to, it is unwavering. He is loyal to them. And, come what may. And so I think that is also a really positive trait that obviously I included in there. So that's the build up and the talking up of R2-D2 as the positive side of the personal development coin. And in Star Wars. And so C-3PO, we all, I am pretty sure that we all on some level know a C-3PO. And like I said, I'm not bashing him because what he experiences and what he believes and thinks is relevant and true for him, but he's simply a different perspective than R2-D2. So I'm going to compare his outlook. That's what the point was, comparing his outlook and his perspective to that of R2-D2. So unlike R2-D2's can-do attitude, C-3PO is very hesitant. He's fearful, indecisive, and always wants to play it safe. And again, we all have these moments. We all experience this. And there have been times that definitely I can say, oh, it's not quite the right time. It doesn't feel safe yet. Or I'm not sure if I'm ready. Or why don't I let someone else blaze the path and kind of follow behind them? And there are times in life where that is appropriate. I guess really what I'm kind of getting back to on all these aspects, it's not getting caught up and dwelling on these C-3PO side of the coin traits. We all experience them. And just like I said, I'm not bashing C-3PO and I'm not, saying he's a bad character or a bad person. It's just comparing and pointing out that it's not beneficial really in the long run to get caught up and dwell and consistently live or be in this type of energy. C-3PO was designed as a protocol droid. And I actually did kind of some Star Wars research when I wrote this. So it is in his very nature. Oops, where did my words go? Because I want to make sure I share. So he was designed as a protocol droid. And so it's in his very nature. So his very nature is that of following established protocols in etiquette, customs, and translation. So he is wired, he is programmed that way, right? Following protocols, following established practices. And don't we, as humans, also, we're programmed a lot or conditioned, or we just get used to those things, right? Doing it the way it has always been done, doing it the way other people do it, worrying when there's someone, it's like, oh, that's not right, when someone does it differently or wants to do it differently. So we can fall into that programming and that conditioning and this like, well, that's the way it's always been. And so just like a machine or a piece of technology can be reprogrammed, you and I can reprogram our thinking ourselves, right? Yes, we might need help along the way and support, but it is very possible to reprogram the unhelpful thoughts and beliefs and ways of looking at things to that of helpful, and knowing and being aware when we're falling into the unhelpful or the old conditioned or programmed patterns. So what are the results? So like I said, it's pretty, self-explanatory. The negative Nellie, the Worry Wart, and those are just two aspects of that I pointed out for C-3PO. Because like I said, I don't want to bash him because he is, he's a sweet droid at heart. And so, but I did want to compare the results of the different types of both sides of thinking. On the surface, it might seem that C-3PO and all of his knowledge, right? He's like has all these languages that he knows and all of these protocols and things. So it might seem that with all of his knowledge, he's the one who would figure things out, who would know the answers, right? But in reality, he relies, oops, here I go again, my little computer. He relies really heavily on what he knows and doesn't consider possibilities outside of that knowledge. So it's like that being in the box, in the comfort zone, right? He relies solely on what he knows and how it's supposed to be, or how he thinks it should be, or has been programmed to be. And he doesn't go outside of that voluntarily or willingly until C3 or R2-D2 kind of forces him, and then he gains another level of experience. And it's like, oh, right. But he doesn't naturally do that. He's very comfortable staying within those confines of what he knows and the knowledge that he does have. C-3PO always focuses on what can go wrong by veering away from the established protocols that he's familiar with. And as a result, he's the one that bad things happen to, like his body parts, being pulled apart. And he's also very willing. Let's see. I'm going to need a second screen. I've said that for a while, and I actually have one, sort of, but I need to use it. He's also very willing to stay in an undesirable situation, like being the translator working for Jabba the Hutt, because it's safer than trying to find a way out. And how many of us, I'm here raising my hand, can say that there's undesired or unwelcome or unpleasant circumstances that we really know are not beneficial for us, that we really don't like, but it's familiar. And that familiarity feels safer than going after the escape route or the new opportunity or the new thing that is outside of that, even though where we are or what we have experienced or whatever that is. And that can be like a job, where we live, friend relationships, family relationships. It's not desired, but it's familiar. And there have been many times in my life that I know I can look back and say that I was in that. And that leads back to something I've shared a lot. It's like, well, I made my bed, or I made my choices, now I have to lie in it. Or this is where circumstances or life brought me, and it just feels too big or too scary or too many unknowns to get out of this or to change these circumstances. And on the other hand, so those are the results, right? With all of the knowledge that C-3PO has, he doesn't think of other ways of doing things, other ways of being. And by focusing, what we focus on is what we get. By focusing on all the bad things that could happen, bad things happen to him, seemingly more so. Yes, bad things happen to R2-D2 as well, but his perspective is, I'm going to get back on track, or I'm going to get back to going as soon as I can. So here, on the other hand, R2-D2's ingenuity, quick wit, and thinking, along with using and making the best of his tools or whatever he has at hand, lead to an adventurous and independent attitude, right? That actually get him the results that he wants, and even sometimes better results than what he wants. So the two different focuses, the two different ways of thinking and being and moving through life definitely have different results. Where on the face of it, on the surface, you would think the playing it safe is what gets us results. And thinking that we need to know all the steps and analyzing all the data, that is necessary, but not staying in there, right? Let's see. R2-D2 and C-3PO are characters and are machines that were created and programmed with their habits and traits. But we see that they can also learn and make different choices. The same is true for us. However we're brought up, or what we know to be, our circumstances or our life or the choices that we make. That's what we know. That's what we learn. That's what we experience. And different choices are possible. They both learn. Even with the two different perspectives, they both learn. It's just one makes it much harder on himself than the other one does. So let's see. And I think this is just about wrapped up. I think I've gone through all my notes here. How did I write that? Let's see. Okay. So in the comparison, this is like, I did want to point out that even though we are humans and we have free will, we very typically operate on the programming. Like I said, on the programming, what we have been taught, habits that we have developed, and thinking that we have developed or adopted by going through those circumstances, and the stories that we tell ourselves, or that society tells us, or that other people tell us. And we tend to initially, kind of by default, treat them as if they are written in stone, as if they can't be changed. And unlike the droids, even though they learn, right, they learn through their experiences, we as humans have the ability to reprogram ourselves. And I did touch on that earlier. So we don't have to wait for other people to do it for us, because that will likely not happen voluntarily, because the people around us are where we have developed, right? And the society, if we don't challenge that, most of the time, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but most of the time, other people are not going to, say, hey, why don't you, or do the changing for us. Other people, that's a better way. See, you guys get to hear me mentally and verbally process things a lot of the times. So other people might inspire us. Other people we might see examples and say, hey, that's something I want. And so you might see the opportunity. You might have a dream that sounds far-fetched and unrealistic and unachievable. And the thing is, other people can't achieve those dreams for us. We can learn through the day-to-day by just kind of going through what life throws at us and what we experience. And we can also intentionally change our programming, change the way we do things differently, because that is never going to be done for us by someone else. So what programming will you choose to follow? Now, what programming are you going to start rewriting your operating system with? Are you going to do things differently? Do you want to do things differently? And know that doing it scared is part of it. Being brave and knowing that you're going to get derailed and knocked off track and feel like a failure, but getting back to it. Or are you going to stay in the, negative Nellie and worry wart, mentality, and simply say, well, this is what my circumstances are. I'll just take them as they come. And life, this is the lot that I've been handed. Or are you going to change it? Because whatever you desire is absolutely possible. It may take a long time. It may take a short time. It may be hard. There's going to be hard parts, easy parts. It's not a linear path. And so it is up to you to choose. And also it's up to you to become intentionally aware of when you start falling back into those old programming patterns, the previous programming, and get back to the regular, the more desired, the programming you're now recreating as your new normal. So that's what I have as my comparison of R2-D2 and C-3PO in the aspect of personal development. And so if you have other Star Wars characters that you can apply, this type of thinking to, or this kind of comparison to, I would love to hear what they are. You can email me. That's the best part. Depending on where you're watching or listening to this, you can comment around this video or audio, or you can email me at vision, VISION, at bluemoonmanifestations.com. And that is also a great place. I would love to know what questions you guys have about personal development and what that looks like, or if this is something that you're new to, or that maybe you have heard something that I've said in another video or in here that kind of like, hey, that's kind of new thinking for me. So let me know what questions you have about personal development and also about manifesting. And that gives me information as to also different episodes and topics to talk about as well. And so that is what I have for you guys this week.